excuse me, Dr. Edward. You're muted and we can't hear you, so we can't hear the talk.
Can you hear it now?
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. And hopefully there won't be too much feedback. We were worried about feedback earlier on. Thank you for bringing that up. So finally, we'll have a talk from Neurolingo. And just basically, Hyo will tell you about this amazing initiative for communicating with the local population. They recently had an event which was attended by a large number of people, gala event kind of thing, where you get to talk to the community about the science, the research you're doing. And it involves training to give TED-style talks. He'll talk more about it. I don't want to give away but it's a great initiative. I love it. Okay. And then again, all of this will be hopefully recorded if everything goes as planned, and we'll be posting it on the IPN website. So don't worry if you miss something. You can always ask us or check on the website.
Also, we will be distributing the PowerPoints presentation for written summaries and presentations as a PDF next week.
Right. So Adriana said that the PowerPoints will also be distributed for people's personal use. Okay. I don't know which button it is that actually does this here. All right. So just a quick introduction to the team members in the IPN office. Most of them are not here right now, so you've already had a chance to meet Adriana. And those of you online, you'll have to get to know her in person, so reach out to her. So I'm the director. Catherine Vanka is the student affairs administrator. So, and actually it says returning this month. That's actually from last term. She's been back a full term. Catherine is the person who's been working in the IPN office for probably the longest. She really knows how everything works. And so if there's anything even slightly complicated that you need help with, she's the person who can really assist you. For sort of the day-to-day, doing your committee meetings, finding out, when things are due to be submitted. We've got two student affair coordinators, Suri Wong and Melissa Ju, and they're fantastic. They really know their stuff. So they're the ones that when you write to IPN@mcgill.ca, they're the ones you'll be in touch with. Mirko Sablich is the one you probably all have interacted with. He's the admissions officer. And unless you decide to fast track, so if you fast track, you'll have to deal with him again. But other than that, you guys have passed through that hurdle. So congratulations. Adriana's here, and Mengting Hu is the coordinator for our China programs. So we have some sort of parallel dual master's degree program that we're running in China, and she's organizing that, running that. And then a couple of work study students in the office, Israt and Oshin, who may be the person who reach out to you when there are, big events, like for we have an annual retreat, and they might ask you, to send in your abstracts for that meeting, stuff like that. Okay. So if you ever want to come and see us, although right now the offices are still kind of under construction, but you can come up. We're at the Ludmer building, which is at the top of the hill on the 3rd floor. So, send an email to make sure that we're going to be around at that time, but we'd love to have you. So a quick overview of the program itself. As you all know, you filled out this letter of understanding when you first came to an agreement with your supervisor on what you'd be doing. And that letter should contain information about your stipend, the hours of work that are expected, conferences that you might be attending or that you might, have opportunities to attend, authorship on papers. Don't worry if that stuff isn't in your agreement, it's all kind of negotiable. But the key thing is to keep an open line of communication with your supervisor. Make sure that, if you suddenly realize, hey, there's a meeting I really want to attend, talk to your supervisor, let them know as early as possible. And they might say, okay, if you have a data to present by such and such a date, I'll arrange for you to go to that meeting and pay your way. So definitely don't just sit there and think, oh my God, I didn't say that I would be attending conferences in my LOU, now I can't do it. Really talk to them and be open with them. And most supervisors are quite reasonable about these things. And it's always possible to kind of keep negotiating these as you go. The stipend, of course, is very important. In the last few years, we've had a big increase in the stipend. It's still not a huge amount of money, as you know, but the idea is to make sure that we're able to cover the basic cost of living for Montreal, and then on top of that, cover your tuition and fees. So the basic cost of living stipend Currently, it's 19,760, but as of next term, it will go up to 21,183. And so it's actually linked to the Consumer Price Index for Montreal. So ideally, it will keep increasing as the cost of living increases. And it's obviously not enough to live, high on the hog, but it should be enough to kind of do an apartment share or, live with a roommate and still have money to go out occasionally, have some fun. We also ask that your supervisors cover your PGSS insurance, so either international or Canadian health insurance cost, and the tuition and fees, of course, for the university, which can vary a huge amount depending on whether you're an international student or a Quebec student. And so those rates, the things that will differ between individuals' minimum stipends are depending on whether you're international or a local student. But the goal is that after you've paid all your bills, that you have this living stipend left to sort of get by on. These are the minimum stipends. And so it's possible that, with some negotiation or perhaps already you've discussed with your supervisor, they can opt to pay you more than that if you come to an agreement. I have this agreement with students that for each paper they publish in my lab, I give them a little boost in their stipend so that there's kind of over time they're seeing in advance. That's the kind of thing that you can talk to your supervisor about. So don't be hesitant to do that. But the key thing is that there's a minimum stipend that has to be paid. I'm seeing here, okay. You're sending out messages, are you? Somebody is, okay, it looks good. All right. Right, and if you're an international student, then there are these competitive differential fee awards. And so if you haven't received one, you can still apply to receive one. Check the IPN funding website. There are also, every year we run an internal competition. And so IPN students are eligible to apply every year for internal awards. You'll hear a little bit more about that later. We recommend that any award that you're eligible to apply for, it's not a huge amount of effort to write a proposal. You can reuse proposals quite a bit if you don't get the funding, but we really recommend that you put in that effort, do that. And you may find that, your supervisor decides, hey, you just got this big award that helps me cover your costs, so I'm going to give you a top up on your stipend. And that's a common practice to do. All right, so as students in the IPN, the course load is relatively light. We require master's students to take 3 courses and PhD students to take 4 courses. Now, the 2 required courses are Neuroscience 630, which is an introduction to cellular and molecular neuroscience, and Neuroscience 631, which is an introduction to systems neuroscience and cognitive neuroscience. And so if, as an undergrad, you've already taken courses that cover that material, we would ask that you basically send us the syllabus for that course and ask for an exemption so you don't have to take that course in that case, in which case you would substitute it with another elective course. So by the end, if you're a PhD student, you must take 4 courses. If you're a master's student, you must take 3 courses. But 630 and 631 can be substituted if you already have that background. And we recommend that you do that because 630 and 631 are big classes, like 80, 90 students. It's not the ideal graduate experience. I mean, if you really want to make sure that you know everything in the field, it's a good survey, and you'll hear lectures from top researchers in each area. It's team taught, so it's a valuable course. But if you have that background, you'd be much better off taking like a small course with 8 students, reading and discussing papers, doing much more kind of where you have a much more active role in the process, and that's more of a graduate level type education. The other course that's required. Okay, so this is the part about the exemptions. If you did want to ask for an exemption, from 630 or 631, in order to take a different course in its place, just send your transcript and your syllabus for that course to the IPN office, and it will be sent around to the course coordinators. They'll decide whether you qualify for an exemption or not. I recommend anyone who can do it should do it because it'll make your graduate experience a little bit more, I think, high level. The other course that you have to take is 705, which is Responsible Conduct in Research. And it's not a credit course, but it's a kind of a 2-week workshop. So 2 full days, 1 week apart, in which you basically hear about the sort of ethics practices, authorship on papers, research, getting research ethics boards to approve your studies, things like that. And there's a number of case studies that are involved and discussed. So you break up into small groups and talk about, here's an interesting case where the authorship was in dispute. How do you handle that kind of thing? How do you avoid falling into the trap of plagiarism, things like that? And so it's a thought-provoking and valuable course. And so this winter it'll be offered. We have tentatively scheduled it for March 21st and March 28th. So you have to register for it. If you haven't registered for it, it's offered every term. You just have to take it before you graduate. Earlier is better. Okay, so this term, most of the courses will be in person. There may be some remote components to some courses. We really hope that, one of the rich experiences of being a grad student is this opportunity to talk to other students, to just sort of hang out together and discuss science, right? Getting science from a textbook or from a professor's lecture, that's not really science, right? That you could do that just by watching YouTube videos at home, right? The goal here is to really have interactions at a high intellectual level, learn about the cutting edge work going on in the labs of your classmates, because the stuff that people are doing here, every time I hear about it, it's just so impressive. And it's inspiring. I think that's one of the sort of richest parts of the experience. The other thing is that you'll make friendships with other scientists who 20 years from now are going to be, the leaders in their field, and they're people who you'll go back to as colleagues over and over again. So take advantage of having this, this accumulation of a lot of really bright students in one place. What else do I have here? Workshops from teaching and learning services with resources about, all kinds of study skills and writing. Check online to see what they're offering all the time. Adriana sends out a weekly newsletter, and so you'll get information about that as well. So just read your emails from IPN. It's very helpful. Yeah, it's called the Synapsis. So if you get something called the Synapsis, make sure to read it from start to finish. Okay, so upcoming milestones. Your milestones are basically the things that have been established to keep you on track as you move through your graduate studies. And they're very sort of, there's a little bit of flexibility, but for the most part, you want to do your milestones on the time by the time that they're assigned, in order to make sure that everything is progressing at the right pace. If you miss a milestone, you'll be asked to come back and do it again later. So you don't want to fall into that kind of trap of delaying milestones. Most of them are actually just beneficial. There's only a couple that constitute exams. Most of them, for example, like committee meetings, are where you're getting feedback from other scientists. You get a chance to talk to a couple of scientists who are on your committee about the research that you're doing. They're a kind of a captive audience. They'll give you feedback. They'll try their best to help you design your project. It's such a good experience. And so make sure not to put off scheduling those. They're great opportunities. And there's pretty much no downside to holding one. You're expected to hold one a year. You could hold 2 a year if you wanted, and that would be even better. So talk to your committee about that. So the first thing you'll do is you'll be assigned a mentor, and you'll have to reach out and contact that mentor and just have a brief meeting. It can be done on Zoom, just to get to know who that person is. Your mentor is the person who's kind of your conduit to the IPN. So if you are experiencing some kind of a personal issue in the lab, any kind of questions you might have, you could go to the mentor first. It's usually a faculty member. It's a faculty member in IPN. And they can often answer your questions very quickly. If there'll also be the person who's sort of representing the IPN at your candidacy exam or at your thesis seminar. So, they don't have a very direct role in your training, but they're there for you if you ever have a question. If you feel that there's a conflict with your mentor, they're too close, for example, to your supervisor, there are other people you can go to. You can come directly to the IPN office. You can come talk to me. There are associate deans if you need to sort of ramp up your level of intervention. So if anything goes wrong, there are many, many levels at which we can help you out. I would say first talk to your mentor, and then if you're not satisfied with the outcome, definitely come to talk to me, and we'll make sure that everything is handled to your satisfaction. So the next thing you'll do is select an advisory committee that you'll do with the in collaboration with your supervisor. These will be like 2 leading researchers in the area that you're studying in order to come and give you advice on your project. You want to do that by the end of this term. And then finally, you'll have your first advisory committee meeting, which you should do before the end of the year. So that's like the upcoming milestones for you guys. You can follow when the deadlines for all of these milestones occur by going to the McGill My Progress website. And that's really the place where, all of the key deadlines for your training will be found. In addition, when you're ready to submit your thesis, the My Thesis website is the place where you'll kind of decide who your thesis examiners will be. You'll submit your thesis there. You'll be notified when it's been evaluated. And so those are the 2 portals that are really critical for your graduate studies. The university has a number of other key portals that can be beneficial, including the My Involvement site and the My Path site, which are not necessary for your graduate training, but will help you, enrich your experience and plan your future. So I recommend that you take a look and investigate those sites as well. And then finally, resources for your success. So I'm not going to go into detail just in the interest of time, but there are a number of websites that you should probably link on your computer. The GPS website has all of the strict regulations of the university. Any details about how your graduate studies should be carried out can be found there. Of course, the libraries, if you have need for some kind of accommodations or experience some sort of challenges in your studies, the Office for Students with Disabilities is a website that you should check out and contact those individuals for advice on how to proceed. They'll interact with your professors in the class and make sure that everything is done in a way that isn't too stressful. And then the Teaching and Learning Services, and they'll have a representative speaking today. There's a number of professional development websites. So the Career Planning Services, Graphos, which basically are courses on scientific writing. Whoops, everything is okay? I keep getting beeps. I'm thinking that I'm being told that something is not coming through. These days, there's so many. No, I think it's fine. Sorry, guys. So Graphos courses I highly recommend, especially as you're starting to approach the time when you're writing your thesis, because they give you like workshops on how to clearly organize your writing. And then the skill sets are regular workshops in various areas of science and organizing your personal life, basically just to help you get through your graduate studies. Oops. There's a number of well-being resources, and I think obviously you'll hear more about that from our next speaker. If any of these issues arise, you should definitely reach out to these organizations. In particular, the IPN office itself is there to help direct you towards any of these services. So I would say, if you're really feeling stressed out about something, or you've had an interpersonal interaction that you just find is intolerable, reach out to us if you're comfortable with that, or you can write to these organizations and we will send you, to people who can help out. The university has a lot of services and they're really good. I mean, I've over the short time that I've been the director, I've interacted with them quite a bit, and I've always found that they're very caring and very attentive. Finally, the dean of students is somebody who can get involved if things escalate to a very high level. And so this is somebody, although they're quite a high level in the university hierarchy, they're accessible and will help you out. So all of these services are really, really helpful. Maybe less so the IT services. No, they're great. They're actually good. All right. So the Wellness Hub we'll hear more about it. They offer support for your physical and mental well-being. And really, the idea is to just reach out and talk to people before things get too serious, right? If you're really starting to question whether your things don't feel right, you're having like a severe, many, as a graduate student, it's really common to have feelings of self-doubt and inadequacy. And sometimes you just need to talk to somebody, but it can get, to a point where you're starting to, it's starting to impact your life in a very detrimental way. These are the people who can really help you out with that. as well as, you know, your mentor, your classmates, and please do bring those things to my attention as well. So finally, I really recommend that there are a number of things that you have to do as a McGill student. So go to the My Courses site and you'll find a number of like little quizzes that you have to fill out, little workshops, academic integrity. It takes all of us on sexual violence, so that, you know, you really understand what your rights are, what your responsibilities are. Make sure to bookmark the IPN website. So this is really a big thing. The IPN website is like, you know, the Bible for your graduate training. Everything that you need to know about the rules and requirements for being an IPN student can be found there. So that should be your first place to go when you have any questions, okay? And that's all I have to say. I will basically hand over the podium unless if there are some questions, I'd be happy to address them, really. Yes, great. Yes.
Is that the same as the one if we did our undergrad here, and if so, we have to redo it?
It is the same. I don't think you'd have to redo it. I'm not sure.
No, in Minerva, I think it would show in the training record that it's already done.
You know the academic integrity one that goes up on the transcript, but it takes all of this one.
If you go and check on Minerva and you click my training record, you look there, and if not, email me.
So the question was for the It Takes All of Us site, the workshop online. If you're a McGill undergraduate who's already done this, do you have to do it again? And I think, and Adriana basically said that you can check to see whether it's registered there. If it's not, it doesn't take that much time, but yeah, I think.
I'm sorry, but it's not available right now.
Sorry?
It's not available on the site. I don't know. If they wanted to change it, they're updating it and they're going to have a new one ready like mid-semester.
So it's not available at all right now.
Right now, last time I checked a couple days ago, it said like we did have to redo it even if we did undergrad here, but it's not available in like February, March, and then we'll have to do it again.
Okay, that's really useful information. I didn't know that. So basically, they're redoing the site, and that means that everybody will have to redo it, whether you've done it before or not, right? Okay, so it may take a little bit of time. Good, thank you for that question. Any other questions? Yes.
A question about courses. So there's also about requirement for the masters, with the master's thesis protocol and all that, like master's thesis research. The classes I'm in right now are all to be announced, and I'm not sure like when, when they'll be announcing the time.
So some of the courses, those research courses, like your master's thesis proposal, stuff like that, master thesis research, you can just sign up for them. There's not actually a course associated with them. So you have to have them on your transcript in order to graduate. Okay. But you can check on the website. It gives more information, but basically there's no need to actually attend anything for those. So it's only these three, as a master's student, there's only these like 3 actual classroom courses plus 705 that you'd have to take.
Okay, so is it with your supervisor?
The research, basically you just register, you make sure that you register for them and it will proceed without you having to do anything else. But you have to have registered for them in order to graduate. The one exception there is if you decide to fast track to the PhD, you have to register for Neurology 700 in the term that you're planning to fast track. Okay, so that's the one exception. Yes?
I just had a question. Thank you for the presentation.
Sure.
For Nurse 705, it doesn't count as one of the 4 courses.
No, right. It's a 0 credit course. It's mandatory, but it doesn't count towards your 3 or 4 courses. And it's really brief. It's just 2 days.
And then also for the number of committee members, I was unsure how many it is required for the PhD, is it 2 or 3? Because I couldn't.
So the question was, how many committee members do you need? We recommend that you have 2 committee members. Some people choose to have more. I think you're allowed to just have 1 if you want, but it's not advised at all. The typical situation is to have 2 members. And it's useful because you in any kind of scenario where you're kind of planning your research trajectory, the opinions of one individual may be really, really different from the other people in the room. And if one person is dominating the conversation, it's not that great. It's better to have this kind of diversity of opinions. So I recommend that. The problem with more members is just that scheduling meetings becomes unwieldy. Any other questions? Okay, so let's just make sure, are we still recording? I guess I can do that from my screen. So I'll hand over the podium to Leah. Thanks so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can the group online hear me okay?
One thing is that we're sharing the wrong screen here.
Oh, are we? Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, that's fine.
We were sharing the right screen, but I guess when it disconnected. Okay, I think that's better.
Okay, great. Okay, can the people in the room hear me okay? Great. And the people online, can I get a thumbs up from someone? Okay, okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, so I wanted to just first thank Ed and Adriana for having the reflex to invite me to come and present today. And I'm really glad that Ed identified me as an ally to you, because I am an ally to you, and I'm here to support you in your studies and to support you so that you can be successful in your academic pursuits. So in terms of what the presentation is today, it's real brief, but I wanted to just, I would like to advance the slide. There we go. Just to introduce myself, a little bit about the role of a local wellness advisor, orient you briefly to what's available to you through the Student Wellness Hub, and then just do a very quick reflection at this time of the year when we're all taking a moment to reflect on our intentions for the year around just preventive mental health and wellness. All right. So what does an LWA do? You can read what's up on the slide, but basically my role is twofold. So one piece of what I do is I support students one-on-one on whatever wellness goals they're looking to develop. And when I meet with you one-on-one, we collaborate on kind of where it is you want to go. What that looks like more concretely can be working on self-directed intervention, using tools from my toolbox. I'm an occupational therapist, so I threw up a little PSA for occupational therapy. You know, in OT, we think of people as holistic, and there being an interplay between the person, the environment, and their occupation. So sometimes when you're not feeling well, there's a disability, there's a systemic barrier. It makes it more difficult to work and play and take care of ourselves. And my approach as an OT to my role as an LWA can be either remedial. So what can we do to change to change or support you to get back to doing the things that you want to do? How can we break stuff into components to make things easier and more manageable? Or what can we change, an approach that's more adaptive? What can we change in the environment? What scaffolds or supports can we put in place so that you can achieve what you want? So that's a little bit about the approach, but in terms of what I do, there's the one-on-one piece, and then there's also a more population level approach. So what I'm doing today would be an example of that. I do presentations and workshops. Sometimes I'm even leading like wellness activities that are both for students in our catchment, which is students in the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, or also students across the university. In a couple weeks, here's just a small plug, I'm doing a wellness walk up Mount Royal to rediscover Mount Royal in the winter, and that's a part of Well Week, which is one of the central hub initiatives around wellness. Okay. All right. So here are some examples of what we might do or what we might look at in the context of a one-on-one appointment with an LWA. I also just wanted to mention that it's really a privilege to work with students in neuroscience. It's been a highlight of my job as an LWA because neuroscience students have this really beautiful basis in the brain and in wellness and just a vocabulary for understanding what's going on with mental health. And there's so much intrinsic motivation that the students in this program have towards healing and curing diseases. And it's just, there's so much resilience in the student body, and it's really a pleasure. So I wanted to say that about this particular student body. And yeah, when you come to see me, you know, we may look together at what's going on for you that looks like a presentation of depressive symptoms. And it may be that, you know, we decide together that you need a referral to a GP at the Student Wellness Hub, or we may discover that when we drill down, you know, that you're really homesick. And that can also show up as depressive symptoms. And, you know, both are legitimate reasons to reach out for support, and both can be addressed in the context of a one-on-one with me and in referrals to other services within the hub. Okay, so there's 6 main areas of the Wellness Hub, 2 that I wanted to highlight on this slide. One is that there's been a big investment in virtual platforms for support at McGill, recognizing that students are really online, and meeting students where they're at doesn't mean just offering you know, psychotherapy one-on-one with a counselor in an office. It's really providing support that can support students at different levels of engagement and also where they are. And so there's a lot of like workshops that are offered online. My services are also offered online. They'll also be offered in person. My one-on-one services are offered virtually now, and will be also offered in person soon. But that's sort of a big component of the support that's offered by the hub. There are virtual platforms where you can do like self-directed kind of therapy modules, like, you know, things like that. And then the other thing that I wanted to highlight here is that in addition to myself as an ELWA, my catchment is you. So it's the graduate students in the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, but there's also other area ELWAs that you would fit into their catchment as well. So let's say you can't get an appointment with me, my schedule is booked. You can also get an appointment with Devin Simpson, who's the ELWA who looks after graduate students across the university. If you're a member of the LGBTQ plus community, you can access an ELWA that has that as a catchment. International students also have an ELWA as a catchment, so or are part of a catchment for an ELWA, so you have options, and I wanted to highlight that. And then I also just wanted to point out for people who are new to Montreal or to McGill, this is where the physical Student Wellness Hub is. So it's on the corner of McTavish and Dr. Penfield. And this is where the physical services of the hub are offered. Okay, so what's offered within the Student Wellness Hub? These are examples of practitioners that work in the hub. So there's GPs and nurses. You can get a referral also to a psychiatrist. There's a big counseling department. You can see these other professionals that work there too. And then a big piece that is happening at the Student Wellness Hub is around health promotion and wellness. So there's, as I mentioned, workshops. There's a really beautiful peer support program that's offered there. There's an art hive that has open studio once a week where you can come and do like arts and crafts, and, you know, just connect and disconnect from your work and do something that will connect you to other students. As an OT, I'm very into occupation-based kind of modalities, so I'm always plugging the art hive. But and again, to register for that programming, you can go onto my enrollment. Oh, I wanted to highlight also, just in the vein of workshops, there are also some support groups that are specific to graduate students. So there's a master's support group, there's a PhD support group. There's also a group that meets weekly called the Grad Breakfast Club, which is on Mondays at 10 or 10:30. It's half an hour, and it's a way for graduate students to connect and set kind of intentions for the week or SMART goals of what they want to do, what they want to accomplish. Also, usually the facilitators of that will ask students to set a wellness goal as well. So it's like, what do you want to leave from last week behind, and what do you want to bring in as both intentions for your academic work and also for your wellness in the coming week. Okay, here's just a very quick primer on how to access services at the hub. You still call. The exception to that is that my appointments and ELWA appointments are booked online, and my schedule opens 3 weeks in advance. So, you know, appointments are added, you know, 3 weeks out, basically. I added the slide as I was writing a summary sheet this morning about the presentation to give you, and I was like, oh, I should also tell them about this. This is Keep Me Safe. It's like an employee assistance program, but it's for students, and it's online therapy or connection to a counselor that's offered 24/7, 365 in 60 languages. It's very amazing that McGill has this on offer for students. And another neat thing about it is that you can use it regardless of where you are in the world. So you can only see a counselor or an ALWA if you're physically located in Quebec, but if your work takes you elsewhere or you're home for the holidays, you always have access to Keep Me Safe. Okay. So then the last piece that I wanted to say, and this is just, I would be remiss as a person working in preventive mental health to not take an opportunity to just take a moment of reflection. But on the right-hand side here, you see the wellness wheel. This is actually just a tool that we use in student services to talk about the different services that are offered by student services. But I really like it because I like thinking in metaphors. And to me, this looks like a real wheel, like a bicycle wheel. And I like it because as a person who rides their bike to work, I know that when my tires are even a little bit flat, it's like very hard to get momentum and very hard to get up the hill to McIntyre Medical, where my office is. And I think about that when I think about health and wellness, because so many of the students that I see, it's like all of their energy is really going into career and academic. And similar to a bicycle wheel, if you're only inflating like one part of it, it's no wonder that when you are trying to get momentum, it's flat and you can't get anywhere. And so I would just put this up as a rhetorical question more than anything else, but just to invite you to reflect on within your life right now, as you're taking the step and starting this new chapter of your career and of your training, which of these areas is maybe neglected or, could be an area where you might want to invest. And which of these areas would be a priority for you? Similar to a bicycle wheel, I don't know if anyone's into bicycle maintenance. I have very few skills at this, but I have on one time in my life, I trued a bicycle wheel. That is to say, I changed the tension on the spokes, and you have to go one spoke by one spoke. You can't try to tackle them all at once. It doesn't work like that. So similar to your wellness wheel, you can't make a goal on Jan 1st to go to the gym 7 times a week and see your friends for, coffee every other Tuesday, and also go to museums and, go out to cultural events and because it's too overwhelming and you won't do it. And so think about for yourself out of the wheel, what is the priority for you at the moment, and what is an area where you would want to invest? And that is just about the end of what I wanted to say. There's a lot more information about telehealth options for support for physical health wellness, and all sorts of stuff that is available on the Hub website. And so I've just given you kind of an overview, but I would direct you there for more information. And then here on the right-hand side is just my plug about Well Week. This is organized through the Central Hub, and this is just some examples of what's going on during Well Week. There's a whole schedule of events that are happening towards the end of January. And yeah, you'll see my wellness walk up the mountain is on January 25th, and you're welcome to join me for that. And that's it. Are there any questions? Anyone in the chat?
You can put questions. You can put any questions in the chat and I'll ask Leah. Or just speak up, we can hear you.
For which, sorry? Prescriptions. Oh, sorry. Yes. So for prescriptions, are you Quebec? Do you have a family doc in Quebec? Okay. So for prescription refills, you can book an appointment with a GP at the Student Wellness Hub. you have to call them, and it's best to call them first thing in the morning. I will say that the GP capacity at the hub is not wonderful at the moment, as is the case sort of across the province and across the country. There's a family docs shortage. And so I've heard from students that they've had some difficulty getting in to see a GP. And so the other option that I would refer you to, are you a domestic student or international? International? Okay, so you have some options. One is through your Medavie Blue Cross. You're able to also go and see some practitioners through off-campus, if you can't get in to see a GP at the hub, or you also have access to telehealth, to telemedicine through a platform called Maple. And so that information is available on the Wellness Hub site. And depending on what the prescription refill is, you may be able to get support from Maple.
Is the PGSS website also?
Yeah, so PGSS would have information about the insurance, and I think that they link to Maple. Anything else? Okay.
A quick question. So the sort of your catchment includes IPN, but I guess also Devon has some overlap with us.
Yeah, so Devon's catchment is all graduate students across the university, and I'm new, so I've like sort of taken a subset of Devon's the students that would otherwise be directed to Devon. So I'm trying to take all of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Science students away from them so that they have more space in their calendar for graduate students who don't have a dedicated ELWA, but you can see either of us. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Anything else? Don't be a stranger.
I should also mention that I think Leah's going to organize for those
Oh,
of you who
yeah.
are looking at the neuro, and I guess you're doing that at different
Yeah,
sites, right?
That's right.
A wellness day, activities, maybe an hour and a half of
Yeah,
workshop. Right?
Totally. Yeah, thank you for reminding me. I had it in my notes, but not on my slides. I'm coming back. I'm doing a tour, a workshop tour this semester where I'm hitting all of the major sites where we have students in our faculty. So I'll be at the MNI. I can't remember the date. Is it
I think
early?
it's March 7th.
Yeah,
Thank
March
you.
7th, yeah.
Okay, so mid-March, I'll be at the MNI, I'll be at the Vic and the Douglas, and anyway, lots of places where you can find me, and that schedule will go out to you as well. All right, great. Thank you so much for your attention, and again to Adriana and Ed for having me.
Awesome. So up next we have Brain Reach. Sorry. What? Sorry, I keep getting disconnected here.
Just the screen sharing, I think you just have to.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. Sorry, I will cue you up 1 second. And
Sorry, Adriana, I think you have to share screen too once the video starts.
wait, sorry, what do you mean? Like, I am screen sharing, aren't I?
So one is your laptop and one is this screen. And so once the projections.
Can you can you come up and show me, please?
So start the presentation and then go here. So I'll stop share and share screen. And it's, oh, so this one is it running? Is the presentation running?
Yeah, the presentation.
It's me right now.
Yeah,
Where's the presentation?
the presentation is Brain Reach. It's over here.
Okay. So I guess I have to click share now and stop.
Yeah.
So if we start the Brain Reach presentation, where is it? Just have to start it. Okay, start the presentation.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Hold on.
But it's fine because every time I close PowerPoint,
So we start the
No, it's good.
presentation and then
yeah,
the screen to share.
yeah.
I don't know how to get there from here. You have to actually share the second screen. Kind of stuck there. Annoying. Zoom. I don't know why it's not giving us a second screen to share. So
Do we need the second screen?
I guess if it's gonna mirror, it's okay.
I mean, it is mirroring, so.
Okay, go for it
All
then.
right, great. So go ahead.
Wait, but like, do we not have to enter?
Don't we just do this?
Oh, I see you. So
But then is it gonna be shared as a presentation?
I think I know how to fix this.
the weird thing is, how do you get out once it starts? which is there. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so here's
And then
the-
we have to
but is that
set this share, the screen to share. Here,
Okay,
new
let
share.
me just
Okay, so
actually-
screen 2.
let me just actually
Just click,
ask
hold
them.
on, screen 2, right? Click that.
Yeah.
And then say share.
Okay, great.
And you're good.
Okay.
So you have to start the presentation and then you can do it.
Okay. I'll go behind you.
Can you confirm it looks okay? Looks good?
Looks good.
All right, looks like people can hear me. Okay. Sorry. Hi, everybody. My name is Zishan. This is Savine, and we are each co-presidents of different branches of BrainReach. And there's a bunch of other people involved in the executive committee. So we'll just be talking to you generally about what BrainReach is about. Click. So as the name implies, BrainReach is a neuroscience outreach program where we aim to sort of bring neuroscience education and general enthusiasm about studying the brain to the Montreal community and even outside the community. And our main focus is on, at least for the elementary and the high school branches, is on elementary and high school students in grade 4 and grade 9, where we have graduate students that go and present various topics about neuroscience to these students, just to get them generally excited about, learning about the brain. And then we also have BrainReach North, which also goes outside the Montreal community to talk to sort of Indigenous communities and also to help them share our enthusiasm about neuroscience to their communities as well. And so the main points are that we were, founded back in 2011 by Josephine Nalbantoglu, and then we sort of developed gradually, and now we've been sort of managed by graduate students like us in the IPN, and we also collaborate with other universities. So we collaborate with the UVM and Concordia as well. So the main topic is that we sort of inspire the love of neuroscience by sharing our enthusiasm with other young students. When we go to the high schools or the elementary schools, we don't just go to give another lecture about, biology. We go there to sort of get students excited and interested in neuroscience. We do sort of an inquiry-based approach to learning where we lead the discussion and we ask students questions and get them to sort of figure out, more about themselves, about the mind and the brain and how it works in that regard. So the scope of the program, like I just said, we have 3 branches in elementary school, high school, and North. For elementary school, we focus on grade 4 students. We have about 8 lessons, about 1 lesson a month. In high school, we focus with grade 9 students, 6 lessons, also about 1 lesson a month. And then for North, we focus on grades 2 to 10. We have teacher-directed modules and sort of outreach trips. And as Sabine will talk to you more about the focus for North. And also we provide lessons and workshops and also one-time events. So these occur throughout the year where you sort of have students go to science centers or to public events happening around Montreal. And we sort of do the same thing where we get students and children excited about neuroscience. So here's an example of our yearly curricula. So for elementary school, you can see the curricula is a bit different than from high school. We can talk about, what is the brain in a very general sense, the function of the brain, what is it made of, the 5 senses, attention and memory, and so on. For high school, you can see the topics are similar, but a bit more different, maybe a bit more focused on particular topics, such as, attention, sleep and dream, and language, and so on. And we also want to emphasize that we have been operating virtually the past 2 years during the pandemic, so we have not ever stopped operating since 2011, but we will now be offering our program hopefully in person as time goes on. And we always provide workshops where we train students on the proper, techniques to, showcase neuroscience in an inquiry-based approach. So we're training you, and we're not just going to throw you into high schools or elementary schools and expect you to know how to talk to the students. So that's usually a very big help.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Also, hello, everyone who's here virtually. I'm Sabine. I'm one of the co-presidents of BrainReach North. So our focus is a little bit different in the sense that so high school and elementary, they send volunteers to Montreal schools on a regular basis to deliver the lessons. In our case, we develop lessons. So we create teaching materials that is then be sent available on our website, for example. So it's less about delivering the teaching modules. It's more about developing them for teachers to teach themselves, in a sense. And as Zishan has mentioned, our talk is more beyond the Montreal Island, in particular, Northern Indigenous communities in Quebec. So here's just a bit of like an idea of the sort of lessons that we have. So it's a little bit similar. It's kind of like starts with like the general overview of like what is the brain, and then goes into like sense of perception, using your brain, and then also like going further like how to build an electromagnet. And one of our more recent lessons was is on sleep. So we have it's finally completed now. On like circadian rhythm and so on. And each of the lessons, they always come with at the end like a vocabulary and quiz sheet, and also like some activities throughout the lesson that again is explained in detail so that the teachers can just download the content that we have on our website and can deliver the materials themselves. But there's many other things you can also do as a Brainreach North volunteer. So for example, we have videos that we're currently developing. We have one great volunteer currently making a video on emotions. There's also other things that you can do, blog posts, posters, postcards, all kinds of things. You can get very creative with that. And then, like Zishan mentioned, there's also these like one-off opportunities like helping out at a science center, or sometimes schools will contact us to help judge at science fairs, which is really fun. Yeah. So in general, we're always looking for people who are interested in content creations, making lessons, videos, posters, postcards, activity booklets, and obviously also translators, because it's French and English. And then we're also like always looking for people to help out with the admin committee. Here is just like a bit of like an overview, and just giving a bit of an idea. So this is kind of the Brainreach scope, but Brainreach North, we've really like been able to go very, very far north in Quebec. And the plan is that now that the restrictions have been lifted, more or less, we're planning on getting the outreach trips going again. So if that's something you'd be interested in, very exciting to visit communities and share cultures. It's a very, very educational experience for both sides, really. It's very, very rewarding. And I think the next one's you again.
So every year, and in fact, every year, but for the volunteers, after every lesson, we ask for feedback on how the lessons went. And the teachers also give us feedback on what they thought, how the lessons have been going with our volunteers. And you can see right across the board, teachers and volunteers are very satisfied with our program. A lot of people very enjoy what we have to offer for Brainreach. It's very rewarding. Kids love it, teachers love it, and the volunteers love it. So I can tell you when I was a volunteer, I also loved it. So basically anybody who participates in this program really seems to enjoy the outcome of it. So we do highly encourage you to apply. This is an old slide. So volunteer recruitment has already ended, and we're already starting to get students to go out to their high schools or elementary schools this winter semester. But we will be recruiting again in the fall semester, so do keep an eye out for our emails. If you are still interested in getting involved, you can still contact us at our emails over here. For example, if we're going to be having external events going on, you can always contact us and we'll add you to our email list, and then you can sign up to do some fun outreach stuff for an external event like a science center or something. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments or suggestions, we're always happy to hear from you. So.
Thanks. Sure, I can try to do it. So, are there any questions?
Yeah.
I assume you need French for volunteer.
You can be English or French. So we go to both English and French schools, and we try to match you up to the language that you choose. Or if you have no preference, then you go wherever. And we also try to make sure we match you to location, so you're not going all the way across the island to some random school.
And for Brainreach North, it's like similar. Like we have volunteers who are only English speaking, some are bilingual, to help with translation. Like you're not restricted just because you don't speak French fluently.
Great.
It's green.
No, actually, so we have to just insert Jan's talk because she has to run very soon. So I'm going to key her up. Thanks a lot, guys. The enthusiasm of the students that interact with the Brainreach team, it's really fun to see them like get all excited. Sometimes they get to see brains and stuff. All right, so Jan, I'm gonna try to set this up for you.
If you could stop sharing that one and just make me co-host so I can share my screen.
Sure.
I'm queued up and ready to go.
Take 1 second.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Okay, you should be co-host now.
I gotta say, it is weird to see your face as the finding winter.
Yes.
And there we go. Well,
Right.
hello, everyone. Thank you, Professor and Adriana and whoever it was that was supposed to be going next. I am headed out to Vermont and I'm picking somebody up at 4:30, so I really do have to get myself out of here. So my name is Jen Walker, and I am here to introduce to you graduate funding and what we can do for you. I am currently the funding administrator here at GPS. So what does GPS do? Well, our roles, we have 4 major ones. And they are first, making sure that funding information is available for all of our graduate students. And that would include international student funding, federal and provincial funding, sponsorships, and internships. We keep fair and transparent adjudication processes of all centrally administered fellowships and awards from our GPS-run competitions. We're able to assist in the development and modification of policies regarding graduate funding and student eligibility, both internally to McGill and with outside agencies and foundations. And as always, we give our voice to support and advocate for our graduate students. So there are 2 types of funding: internal and external. So let's begin with internal funding. Internal funding is financial support that's distributed by the university in a couple of different ways. All incoming students are automatically considered for and may be offered internal funding. There are some faculties and unit specific awards that you may need to apply for, so make sure that you check those ones out. Central McGill funds come from different sources, such as endowments, donations, government bodies, etc. Now, there may also be faculty or unit-specific awards, as mentioned, and they may be competitive. So be sure to discuss what opportunities are available for you with your graduate program coordinator. Most professors have research grants, and they may use those to help fund their students under their supervision. So talk with your supervisor. There may also be employment possibilities in your unit, such as a research or teaching assistant. Now be aware that stipends received from a professor's grant for these assistantships are considered salary for employment and are subject to the corresponding union's collective agreements. So here's how McGill Central funds work. All monies come into one big pot that is administered by GPS. Using this giant complicated formula, which I won't go into, GPS shares that pot with each faculty. Each faculty then uses their own formulas and policies to then redistribute their share to their units. And they usually do keep some at their own faculty level. Each unit then in turn is tasked with offering their amount of money to their students, and that's usually included in your offer of admission letter. Now we have external funds. This is where I work. These are monies awarded to students from external funding sources. So just give me 30 seconds to figure out why this is in my way and I can't see my notes. Oh, there we go. Sorry, half my screen was blocked. And this is better. So these monies are awarded to students from external funding sources. The most prominent are the Canadian federal tri-agencies, that's NSERC, SSHRC, and CIHR, and the Quebec provincial funding agencies, which are the FRQ-NT, SC, and the FRQ-S. The FRQ-S is stands for Fonds de Recherche au Québec en Santé, and this is the one where most of you will be applying for. That being said, NSERC or the NT is also very prominent in your fields of research. Now, these are competitive awards and you must apply for them. Our web pages have a ton of helpful information for you, such as eligibility and evaluation criteria, as well as how to apply sections. So please make sure that you do check those web pages out. But remember to check out the agency web pages as well. They are the last word on any policy or instruction. You are responsible for your application and you only. That being said, your graduate program coordinator is also able to assist you and respond to most of your questions. If they can't, then they will reach out to us. Now, the tri-agency application process begins here at McGill. You must speak with your graduate program coordinator if you're planning to apply. This is because your application must be nominated to GPS in order to be considered. Provincial agencies, however, do not have the pre-selection process at McGill, and you will apply directly to those agencies. Now, whichever agency you apply to, take note that it is very important to be sure that you select the correct funding agency that aligns with your research. Also note that anyone who is submitting an application to one of the provincial agencies, you're required to send your application number to your unit. I also want to take note here of the Healthy Brains for Healthy Lives application process, noting that it is, if it hasn't gone live, it's about to, and this is very prominent for all of you students in this in IPN. So please make sure that you check out the HBHL, or Healthy Brains for Healthy Lives, and check to see what the application process is for that. We don't run that competition per se. It is run at the HBHL. We do offer assistance and support to them, but they make the final selection is through a committee that is put together, and so that committee is put together and selected by the HBHL office and Dr. Nel Bantaglu. Note that there are restrictions on concurrent funding with the HBHL. So again, make sure that you read all the requirements and restrictions on the HBHL webpage. Now, there are many other foundations or private enterprises that offer student support. Where do you find these? Talk to your supervisor. They're a font of information, and Google can help as well. I've named a couple here that may or may not be relevant to your research, but really your supervisor is a really, and professors are a really good place to start looking for funding opportunities. Now, a quick overview of our webpage for information on specific funding opportunities. Our main webpage is mcgill.ca/gps/funding, and there, if you want to know what you may be eligible to apply for, if you're looking for an award that at the master's level, then you would click here and you would find a listing of opportunities available for students at the master's level. If you're in your final year of master's and planning to do a PhD, don't wait until you're already in your PhD. That is when you should be applying for the doctoral awards that will begin when you begin your PhD studies. So other than a listing of opportunities, you can also find and read the bios of some of our really amazing previous winners. You can also find, get tips and ideas for creating a winning application on our page called Maximize My Chances. And as well, find all the really important instructions on the best page called Getting Paid and Maintaining Your Fellowships Once You're Successful. Some side notes for our international students. There are two possibilities available that may be available to you, and they are sponsorships or DFWs. I'm going to start with a little explanation of I'm going to start with DFWs, or the differential fee waiver. Now, a DFW, I'll explain what it is. It's an exemption of the fees that are charged to international students that are over and above what a Quebec student would pay. Now, this doesn't include your international health insurance. DFWs come as a result of a bilateral agreement between the Quebec government and the foreign government. After their own selection process, a country will nominate their selected candidates to our Quebec government. The Quebec government will in turn perform a final selection and then inform the candidate and their university. There's a couple of steps that you have to do. First of all, is determine whether a bilateral exemption exists for your country. And you can do so by consulting the list of countries that have established such agreements by clicking on this webpage. This webpage, this link is also available to you on our International Students webpage. If the country or affiliated agency does in fact have this bilateral exemption, then you are to contact the appropriate authority for that country or agency, and please do so as soon as possible. Deadlines are all over the place. Each country has their own. I don't know if there are any deadlines for winter admits. I can't answer that. There's too many countries anyway for me to even think about remembering. But go and check that out, because if you were too late to have it for, let's say, if the deadline's in September or August, at least you're well aware now in order to apply for it for the upcoming fall sessions. And now sponsorships. Now sponsorships are a little bit different. They are agreements between GPS and an international funding agency. Now these agreements include co-funding by McGill with that agency. They are restricted to incoming and first-year students. That means although you're already here, you are still eligible to apply for them. But again, there will be deadlines that you have to take into account. But like with the DFWs, because they're also available for first-year students who are already here, you would still be, because you are now aware, you still have time to apply for it for next year. To see if there is a sponsorship agreement with an agency in your home country, please visit our webpage, where you can also find details on how to apply. A side note for the CSC, or the China Scholarship, students must apply to their home university, but they may also apply to the Chinese embassy. So funding competitions process here at for McGill administered competitions. In a nutshell, you will either be notified. Please read all your McGill emails. Yes, you're being bombarded, but every once in a while they're going to be, actually they're all important. So read them all, and you don't want to miss out on an opportunity because you didn't read an email, right? So check your emails, make sure that they're not going into your trash bin. Into your trash or your spam folder. Check your spam folders. If you have an auto delete on your spam folder, my suggestion is remove that auto delete so that you can go and check it, once a day or once every couple of days, and then delete them that way. That way, you know that you're not going to miss an opportunity should one become available to you. Now, back to the process. So either you've been notified by the unit or you found the information on your own in some way, but oops, there you go. You have this, you've got this information that there's this upcoming award that you can apply for. So most units, especially for the tri-agency awards, every unit has a quota. So McGill has one big quota, and using a formula, we based on enrollment, each unit in turn has their own quota for the number of applicants they are allowed to nominate to GPS. So most units don't require anything from you to submit to them for the tri-agency awards, because GPS, we download all the submitted applications from the agency web pages. We organize them by unit, and then we grant access to the units. Now, I say most units don't require something. That might not be true for IPN. It's up to you and your responsibility to let your unit know, your graduate coordinator, let them know that you're planning to apply for this, and then they will let you know if they need something from you. Make sure you look at their web pages as well. Once again, remember, bottom line is you're responsible for your applications. Next, the units make us have their committees, or however they decide to make their selection. They make a selection based on their quota and then nominate those selected to GPS. GPS organizes the nominated applications and make them available to our central committees. Then for the PhD award, selected applicants from our central committee, those selected are then forwarded to the national agencies where final selection and offer of award is made. For the master's tri-agency or the master's CGSM, the final selection and offer is made right here at McGill. The most important page we have, I think, if you receive notification that you have been offered an award, congratulations, so happy for you. If you don't tell anybody about it and it's supposed to be paid through McGill, I'm happy for you, but you're going to be waiting for your money. Tri-agency awards are paid through McGill. If we don't know that you have it and you don't submit your documents that we require, then your payments are going to be delayed. You're not going to lose them, but they're going to be delayed. And, you know, I don't want my paycheck to be late. So make sure that you follow the instructions. Follow the instructions that are on your offer of award. Do not miss the deadline to accept an award. There is no going back. Once you pass the deadline to accept an award, that award becomes available to the next person on an alternate list. That cannot be delayed. So please do yourself a favor. This does happen. It's sad. It breaks my heart. But if you get a notice of award and you're sitting on it and you don't want to accept it because, oh, well, maybe you're waiting for something else, that's your risk. And once again, there is no going back. Unfortunately, we had 2 students this past fall who missed their deadline, and it just, yeah, it sucks. So please don't let that be you. If you've received an offer and you're really not sure what you're supposed to do, and go and see your graduate program coordinator. They know everything there is to know about this. And if, like I said before, if they don't, they'll reach out to me or our office, and we'll let them know. Remember that TA shifts and RA shifts are employment opportunities. So the payment for that is via payroll and is processed by your unit. Stipends offered from your supervisor that come from the research grant or any other stipend or internal award. 90% of those will be processed by your unit. There is the odd award that is internal award that is processed by our office, but there's not that many, and you will be notified of who's doing what if you get offered one of those. Avoid delays. No, like I said before, nobody wants to have their payments late. Make sure that you are registered for any term that your award will cover before the start of that term. Our payment schedule in our system throws out your payments, or throws them out, not throws them out, actually forwards your payments to your bank on the 1st of every month, unless like it's the 1st is New Year's Day, or if the 1st falls on a Labor Day or Easter or something like this. If it's a bank holiday, then it will be delayed for a couple of days. But normally the 1st of the month, that payment goes to your bank. That doesn't mean that it's gone directly to your bank account. It goes to your bank. Then your bank can take up to 5 days sometime to actually to update your bank account with that money. So don't have automatic payments go out of your bank account on the 1st of the month, just in case you don't want to be stuck with any NSF charges. So be very careful with your automatic payments from your bank account. Make sure that you submit any and all documentation to the appropriate unit or office to avoid any holds on your student record. For new students coming in, a lot of times you will have a hold on your record because you haven't submitted your final grades from your previous degree. If that's the case, that can stop your payment from going through. So try to avoid any of those. Make sure that your record has no holds, and you're ready to go. Make sure that you have your banking information updated on Minerva. Please be sure that you put your own bank and correct bank account number on Minerva. Minerva can't make sure that that number is actually yours. And if you make a mistake, yes, you will get your money back, but it's a royal pain and it takes time. And there's nothing, once the funds are sent to your bank, our hands are, there's nothing we can do. It has to be corrected at your bank. So should that happen, let us know, and we can maybe, you know, through student accounts, try and help you with your bank. But normally it can take up to 5, 10, 2 weeks, 5, 10 days or 2 weeks to get your money back into the right account. So make sure you entering that bank information correct. Also, you need to have a current mailing address in Minerva. Current, there is a way in Minerva to put a temporary mailing address. So if you're only here in Montreal with the and you've put a Montreal address, but you only put it for 2 terms because in the summer term, although for thesis, master's thesis or PhD programs, you still are considered full-time over the summer, but you might still be doing your reading or your writing from home, and you're going back home. When you come back, make sure that you switch the end date on your mailing address. Make sure that it's not going to stop your payments, because if you put an end date on your temporary mailing address and it ends, then the payment following that is not going to go through. So again, to avoid delays, make sure that if you're using a temporary mailing address, that the end date on that is like at the end of your degree. Okay. And once again, go visit our webpage, Getting Paid, and all that information is there for you. An important note for our international students. You must have, everybody must have a Canadian bank account for any award or employment payment that goes through McGill. Sorry, that's my Alexa telling me, giving me a reminder to pack something. Sorry about that. So, oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's embarrassing. So again, for your international students who may be arriving late due to immigration issues, you will not be able to receive any payments until you have opened that Canadian bank account and updated that information in Minerva. Also, any stipends from your supervisor will not be processed until you are physically here on campus at McGill, either Mac or downtown campus. So any questions about that from our international students should be directed to your graduate program coordinator. Information webinars. Well, wow, that was even from 2 years ago. Sorry, I had to grab an old presentation and tweak it for this year. That being said, doesn't matter. Any dates that I had from fall 2022 have already been passed. However, this webpage, Maximize My Chances, will be updated with any student webinars that we'll be offering next fall. So sometime in August, start looking at that webpage. Make sure that you register for any and all the information sessions that are pertinent for any awards that you're planning to apply for. We give info sessions on the Tri-Agency Awards for the doctoral level. The CIHR gives one, it's an agency one that the agency gives themselves. We give an introduction to the provincial one at both the doctoral and master's level. And we give CGSM info sessions. So once again, make sure that you're aware of these info sessions and that you register for them and attend them. Other resources, I'm not going to read through these. I'm sure you're going to get a copy of this. Skill sets and the writing workshops, really helpful for those planning on writing an application and their project proposals for their applications. A bunch of web links that you should bookmark, and our contact information. Remember that when you're contacting us, please only use our generic email address. It's graduatefunding, all one word, .gps@mcgill.ca. Include your McGill ID number. You can either include it in the subject line or at the top of your message or in your signature block, someplace where we can find it easily. If you don't, that means we're just going to have to reply to you. May I please have your McGill ID number? And then you're going to have to reply back with your McGill. So it makes it less efficient and takes more time for us to be able to respond to your questions and help you with any issues that could be arising. Our webpage, don't forget, it's mcgill.ca/gps/funding. And that's about all I have today. I can take a couple of questions if there are any.
Okay, so there's a question in the audience for you, Jan. Thank you for that talk.
You're welcome.
I'll repeat the question so everyone can hear.
Yeah, sorry, but I noticed in the presentation that you mentioned that for like the provincial awards, like the FRQS, you needed to send the dossier ID to the academic unit. In my case, I was not aware of that, so I already won. Like I was a master's student, I fast tracked, and I already won the FRQS. This is the first term when I'm covered, but I haven't emailed the dossier ID. So I'll email it like right now, and I'll copy as well the letter forward. But I think that since this institution was in Quebec, McGill has to notify FRQS that I'm enrolled. Should I like write to someone else specifying, or what should I do? Sorry.
No worries. Congratulations. Not a problem that you're late. If you have the award already, that means we would have needed your number and probably already managed to get it because you applied. Did you apply last fall?
I applied on fall 2021 and won the award mid 2022, but I just started my PhD. So I applied when I was in my master's.
Okay, then that's not a problem. We've probably already found it, but it's a good idea to give the number to your GPC. Going forward, as for your confirmation of registrations, we're in the midst of doing it right now. We never get access to the list of those that have to be confirmed until the beginning of January, and we have until like the 31st or something like this, we have until the 23rd of January to complete it. We're halfway through. So if you get a notification saying, please, what is it that they say? I don't know the word. I don't know the wording, but it's something to the effect of, do you want to nudge somebody to confirm your registration? Just let us know, but don't worry about it. We've never missed the deadline. And like I said, we're working on it right now. If you've already been offered, then your name is on the list for sure. And it'll be done it'll be done by the end of next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks,
No
Jen.
worries.
Yeah, and the GPC that she's talking about, for these, it's often going to be Catherine Vanka, the graduate program administrator. However, if you write to IPN at mcgill.ca, it will be forwarded to her. That's probably the easiest thing to remember. Any other questions? Jan, I just wanted to add a couple of points. One is that international students are actually eligible to apply for provincial awards in their second year. So don't think that just because you're not a Canadian student, you can't apply for some of those provincial awards. The federal ones, unfortunately, are Canadian only.
Yep. That's a good point. And I will actually expand on that, because for international students who start in January, you have a leg up on the international students who started in September, because you're going to be eligible to apply this fall for provincial funding. So please make sure that you do that, because you are going to be eligible.
The other thing I wanted to point out is that HBHL, the Healthy Brains for Healthy Lives, is a McGill-specific neuroscience agency, which is in its last year of funding for students for awards. And so
I didn't know that.
this is the year to apply for it. You may not have a chance in 2 years from now. So if you're thinking my application will be a lot stronger in 2 years, maybe don't wait, put in your application as soon as possible.
Thank you,
Okay.
Professor.
Thanks a lot, Jan. That was great. Have a safe trip.
Thank you. Take care, everyone. Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
It's brain reach.
So brain info, right?
No, brain info, yeah, sorry.
All right. So this again.
Multitasking.
I really don't know how to use your computer, Adriana. You might have to come up and
Oh, no.
bring it up.
But then, I guess it's like one of the PowerPoints.
But then it'll be chaos when I have to, no, I'm kidding. All right, so brain info, right?
Yes.
Here you are.
Perfect.
And are we good?
Well,
it
is
fun?
it shared in the?
Wait, how do you,
I think it's probably good when you start the presentation.
okay, so it is started, so, or has it?
No, but the question is like if it's sharing the screen on Zoom or the other one.
Right.
Right.
Let's see what it looks like on my computer. That's
Yeah.
where it'll show.
Yeah, have a look.
Okay.
Sorry, it's a bit complicated.
Oh, that's fine. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. I'll be out of here in a second,
Oh, it's not sharing yet. So
or more than a second.
what did we do last time? We started
Just
it.
click on like the Windows thingy and then just go to Zoom.
Yeah, we just have to pull up Zoom.
Yeah, here's
And
Zoom.
Or actually, you've got Zoom open. That's what.
Zoom and then to screen share.
Yep.
And you just need to.
What?
Oh, you're opening a new Zoom link.
Sorry, my bad. Here we go.
Yeah, and then just share screen and then.
Yeah.
just need
All right.
to
You know what to
select.
do. You should. I can't get the mouse now.
Sorry. See, now there's a lot of pressure. Is it? Okay.
So you want to
So
do
just
screen
screen
two?
two, yeah.
That's
Screen
the key.
2. Okay, now I got it.
All right.
You know, hour and a half in and I finally got it. Okay, let's get rid of that.
That's fine.
I mean, it's not, but.
No.
We haven't gone away. We'll be right back.
Okay. I think I should be fine now.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Hello again. Again, I'm Sabine. I also work for Brain Info, one of the admins. So Brain Info is a little bit different from Brain Reach. So it's also about science education, but now we're targeting more adults. So the idea is that lots and lots of people have a lot of questions about neuroscience. If they even know what neuroscience is. So really like simple questions from like, what is neuroscience to, oh, what is like the current state of research on complex PTSD? And I mean, we all know that Google, especially Wikipedia, is not the most reliable sources, and it can be quite overwhelming for people to find the answers they're looking for. So that's where we come in. So the idea is that we are a bilingual team of neuroscience students, and the main goal is really to strengthen the communication between scientists and the community. So what we do is, for the public, we try to connect people, the community, to experts in neuroscience, which is us, you, and to provide tailored, accurate information and fact-checked resources. Like I said, there is such a sea of information out there. It's really, really hard to navigate your way through it if you don't know where to start. So that's what we try to do, is to help guide people through that sea of information. And overall, the goal is obviously to make science more accessible to people. And what can you get out of it? Well, it's an excellent opportunity to improve your communication skills. Science communication is super, super important, as the last 2 or 3 years have taught us. But also learn a little bit more about what the community actually needs from us. So that's kind of like important when you write grant applications, for example, just in general, when you tailor your research, to like see what do people actually need from us scientists, what are people interested in. So the things that you can do, there are many different ways to get involved with this. I'd say the main aspect is really being a writer. So what happens is people send questions in. I'll walk you through it in a second. People send question in, and then we assign it to someone, one of you guys, depending on what your field of research is. And then you research the question, write a response, and then also like edit it later on, make sure it's like really tailored to whatever the person is asking about. We are bilingual, so we appreciate that a lot of people in the IPN are mainly English speaking. There's a lot of international students. That's brilliant. That's great. But obviously, we need to be able to also cater to people who ask questions in French. So we are mainly Quebec based, by the way. That wasn't clear. So yeah, we do get people ask questions in French as well. So we do need some translators. We also need some people helping out with the website, graphic designers, just for social media, or just in general. Like sometimes an answer is easier to be explained in a simple graphic. And yeah, social media, and then also archivist, keep track of everything, and admin committee is always looking for more help to help navigate all these positions. So how does it work? It's pretty straightforward. We get a question, ticket is created, it's assigned to a volunteer, depending on your like area of expertise. So we try to match as well as possible. It's not always possible, but most of the time you will get something that is somewhat related to your field of research. And then you prepare the response. Depending on how complex, so people send in a question and they fill out how complex of an answer they want. If they want you to like really go into detail, if they want to use simple language or more complex language. So depending on that, it can take up to maybe like 2 weeks to 6 weeks to answer a question. That's kind of like the frame we operate in. So we will like tailor that according to what people are asking for. And each question always comes with, so everyone who asks a question always has to fill out a field. Why are you asking this question? What sort of like information are you looking for, which is supposed to help you tailor the response to whatever they want to know. And then it's reviewed by another volunteer. It's usually one of the admins that you're assigned to. And then the response is sent, archived, posted on social media. And so this kind of step in between it goes a little bit back and forth just to make sure that we really have a good response that is that meets what people are asking, obviously answers the question, but also matches the level of complexity they were asking for, that the language is okay and easy to understand, that certain that certain topics are explained properly. So this is our team currently. If you see us around, feel free to get in touch if you have any questions. We're more than happy to answer more. Reza is our faculty advisor. He's super, super nice, very approachable as well. If you bump into him, he's always super enthusiastic about talking about his ideas and initiatives. And yeah, so we'd love to have you join our team. If you want to get involved, feel free to reach out to us. There's a QR code. We recruit throughout the year, so it doesn't really matter if it's beginning of the year, middle of semester. It's also okay if you feel like, okay, I'm a little bit busy at the moment, but I might want to join, say, May, for example. That's absolutely fine. Same thing if it happens the other way around. If you're available now, but then get a little bit busy later on, just get in touch with us and say, oh, I'm currently not available for answering questions. That's fine. We'll just put you on hold. And then when you have time again, you can just let us know, and then we'll send questions to you again. Most important thing is just to have the responses sent out in a timely manner. That's really important to build trust in the community, I suppose. But yeah, it's a really, really fun initiative. We've been going for nearly 2 years now. We're on like question 200 now. It ranges so many different topics. It's really, really interesting. And you learn a lot as well. Like I said, we try to match you to whatever area of expertise you work in. But I've also, like, I was the one who had to answer the question on complex PTSD, and I've learned a lot about it. I work more on like basic research. So it's really cool. And sorry about the deadline down there. That's just a little bit arbitrary. It's just easier for us to keep track of it. But if you, like I said, if you feel like, okay, I'm too busy now, want to get involved later on, just put that in take a picture if you like, take a screenshot. And yeah, just get in touch with us later on. Like I said, if you bump into one of us, just, yeah, ask us about it. Yeah. Any questions?
Thanks.
Yeah.
How often do you get a question assigned to you?
Well, that depends. So we do social media campaigns where we just post on our social media if you have questions. So then we get quite a few coming in at the same time. But then also we have some periods where it's a little bit less busy. But like I said, we try to match it depending on your availability. So if you say, okay, I'm currently not really available, then that's absolutely fine. But yeah, maybe 2-3 questions per semester would be somewhat realistic. It's usually less than that. Yeah. Anything else? Anyone in the Zoom chat? No. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. So up next is the neuro library. Okay. Yeah, the skill sets, I apologize. Excuse me, we still have, okay, so we have skill sets, library, GSEN, and then lastly, Neurolingo, in case anybody's wondering. So let me just pull up skill sets. Okay, and
It'll still be today. We're running about 35 minutes, 40 minutes late.
okay.
It's my fault. But,
Okay, I did it.
Hey, thank you so much. And without dropping a profanity, which I did last time. I'm so sorry.
Okay, can you hear me? Good. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Saima Ahmed. I'm a PhD candidate in experimental medicine, and I also work as a student skills assistant for teaching and learning services, which is why I'm here with you all today. I'll try to go through this as fast as possible so that we can move on to all your other presenters. So I'm here to talk to you all about skill sets. So what is first, I'm going to talk to you a bit about what skill sets actually is, and then what are the different opportunities skill sets can provide you. So very simply put, skill sets is a collection of workshops for grad students and postdocs on several different topics that I'll go into in further detail. These workshops provide general, translational, and professional skill development opportunities to complement the research training provided by the academic experience at McGill to all graduate students. So essentially, skill sets falls under teaching and learning services, and then we offer workshops together with GPS and student services. So I'm going to delve a little deeper. Keep in mind, everything I'm talking to you about is free and it's offered throughout the semester. So first, I'm going to be talking to you about workshops that fall under the communication category. So first we have Grad Life McGill. So Grad Life McGill, we aim to share the graduate student experience through social media. So we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we also have a blog. So it's for, first of all, any grad student at McGill can follow us. And the idea is to kind of cultivate the graduate student community. We know that it can sometimes be a rather lonely experience being a grad student. So the idea is to kind of have this community online, to see what other grad students are doing, even if it's people that are in different, studying different topics than you. Often our experiences, such as going through comms, are very similar. If you're interested in sharing your experiences, you can also join Grad Life McGill as an Instagrammer or as a blogger. If you're interested in knowing more, you can check out the website. Next, we have the supervision series. So this can be super useful at various points of your graduate student trajectory. So we have these 3 workshops. So first is getting started with supervision. So if you're just beginning your graduate student experience, this is a pretty good workshop. So it kind of talks to you about how to kind of start building a really good relationship and rapport with your supervisor. Next, we have sustaining supervision. So this is kind of how to help essentially sustain that relationship over time. Sometimes you might have started off well and you might encounter some issues, so kind of how to sustain that. And then lastly, we have getting the best out of your supervisor. And this is actually a panel discussion. So we have various grad students from different departments. I was actually on this panel once. And we also have one of the deans, the dean of students usually comes. And it's kind of like a closed door discussion. So people often share different experiences and give each other advice. And so it could be a very nice place if you're, have maybe, even if you're not having any issues with your supervisor, just to hear the stories of other people can help too. Next, we have the 3-minute thesis competition, which you may have been getting emails about, or you may have heard about. So essentially 3MT, and we also have in French, it's called Mathès en 180 secondes. It's a competition that takes place around the world in a lot of different universities. So at McGill, the way it works is you have 3 minutes and you have 1 slide to explain your research to a non-specialist audience. So this is really great at developing your presentation skills. So, often in grad school and throughout your career, you're going to have to go present at conferences. And if you're afraid to talk in front of people, this can be a really great way to help develop those skills. You can also compete and win cash prizes. So there's actually first place, second place, third place, and a people's choice. And all of these win some cash. And it's for any student currently enrolled in a thesis-based program or have a major research component. So I think all of you have a thesis-based program, so you're eligible. And so, yeah, the 2023 competition is open. I encourage you to register. It's a really, really fun and great experience. Next, I'm going to be talking about some of our teaching-based workshops. So first, we have the teaching assistant training. So if you're an AgSum TA, you can actually get paid to attend these workshops. So that's pretty cool. And we talk about different topics like how to design a good lecture, how to engage with different students. And so these are all teaching assistant workshops. And then lastly, I'm going to be talking a bit about the leadership workshops we offer. So one we have is called From Surviving to Thriving, Resilience in Grad School. So it seems like most of you are at the beginning of your grad school journey. You might find at various points in your journey, you might feel stuck. You might be wondering what the point of it is, or you might just be facing different challenges personally or professionally. So this workshop kind of helps grow your emotional resilience and kind of deal with the different stressors of grad school. Highly recommend to any grad student. And we also have the leadership series. So the leadership series it's a 7 or 8 part series. So each workshop really delves deep into a certain aspect of leadership. So we can be talking about emotional intelligence, how to inspire other people, how to work in teams, how to negotiate. So many of these things will come in handy in your grad school, but also throughout your career. So this is the leadership series. Lastly, there's so many other workshops that I have not talked to you about. So we have the workshops on digital literacy, where we talk about blogging and Instagramming, on financial skills, so how to do your taxes, cryptocurrencies, etc. Project management, so this is a career path that you might be interested in. So there is someone who is actually in a project manager position who comes and talks to you about what you have to do to get that type of job if you're interested in working in the industry. Funding workshops. So Jan talked a bit about the funding opportunities that will be happening in the fall. So we offer a workshop called Would You Fund It?, where you actually get to sit down with someone who was a former, what do you call it, reviewer. So someone who was a CIHR reviewer, for instance, and they'll sit down with you and they'll go over your application and tell you what are the strong points and what you need to work on. And then we have so many other workshops, and they're all free for you to benefit from. So I recommend you check out the website and see what works for you. And of note, the workshops are offered online, on Zoom, and also some are offered in person. If you have any questions. Okay. Yes, so there you'll get these slides. So there's a bunch of other resources as well, and we have our email, and you can check out our website. Thank you.
The Neuro Library will be presenting. All right. Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. So I am Andrea. I am actually not at the Neuro Library. You actually have access to 2 whole libraries. You are very lucky. So there is a library here at the Neuro, and Lynn, my colleague, she's working at home today. It's a little bit complicated. So anyway, I'm here for the both of us. So she's here at the Neuro, and that library is actually associated with the MUHC. I am your librarian at McGill, so I take care of neuroscience, neurosurgery, and 17 other departments ending in ologies and urgeries. So there you go. But because you have access to, oh boy, science and slides, you think, there we go, yes. I have learned, but we are both here to help and work with you. So please get in touch. Again, I know it's the end of the day. It's also Friday. So you have librarians, please use us. We're happy to help you. You also have access to a lot of stuff, and it can be a little bit tricky to navigate. So I'll give you some resources on how to do that. In terms of what you have access to at McGill, in terms of space, you do have a whole library just for you. It's being renovated. It will be beautiful in the springtime when it's all done. And you can come in, and we look very much forward to welcoming you back. Right now, all of your textbooks, if you need, because a lot of the neuroscience stuff we actually are not allowed to get as e-textbooks because publishers are mean and they don't let libraries buy big textbooks electronically. They want you to buy them electronically. Shake fists angrily. So anyway, if you need textbooks, they're at the Humanities and Social Sciences Library. So Purvis, the other one, I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyway, they're all there. We've got a link to the website if you need for FAQs, hours and stuff. Basically, that library, after reading break, is open 24/7 if you need study space. 6th floor is a good spot. That's where my office is. It's a silent floor. For what you have access here, there is a reading room. It's open 24/7. It's staffed 8 to 4 with Celine or Paul. She will come in as well. So you're more than welcome to talk with them. Here is our website. This is your main starting point. If you're going to be using any of our databases, PubMed, whatever, I would very, 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 very strongly recommend that you either use the VPN or access our databases through our website. Basically, by doing that, that connects our system and all of the journals that we subscribe to the databases. So even though anyone in the world can search PubMed, you want to access PubMed either with the VPN on or through the website. If you go to, and basically we've got a bunch of guides under health and biological sciences. It's a quick link to the big stuff that you'll need just on the right-hand side of the page. The reason I'm suggesting going through McGill is just because the MUHC, because it's the hospital library, they don't have access to, in terms of like the journals that they subscribe to. You can access stuff through their site. Just make sure that you access under the McGill tab, because that's basically the same. It's basically like going through the McGill library site. So either site works, just if you're going to go through the site, make sure you use the McGill one. It's the most fulsome content you'll have access to. And there are also other like smaller libraries at the various other hospitals. So if you're at the Douglas, there are people there. But again, you have access to McGill stuff. So just make sure you use that. The VPN is very buggy at the hospitals, unfortunately. So again, I would recommend going through the website. VPNs and hospital networks do not play nicely together. So if you ever see this, if you try and find an article and it's like, oh, you have to pay for this, don't pay for it. Please don't pay for anything. There is no need for you to pay for anything. Have libraries, we will get stuff for you. I will do my best for textbooks. That one's a little bit trickier. If you want a new subscription to a journal, that's even more tricky. But if you need a journal article, please, like I said, go through the library website. We also have a Google Scholar link, so set that up. We've got links on how to set that up here. If we don't subscribe to something, please use interlibrary loan. So again, you do not have to pay for an article ever. We will get it for you. It will get sent to you as a PDF in your email. Highly convenient. How can I help you? I am probably your main person, but there are 5 of us. So depending on what your question is, we may route you to somebody, but I'm happy to be your point of contact. What can I do for you? Research project development, lit searching, systematic reviews. Oh God, if you so choose to embark on one of those joyful adventures, do let me know. Just general database instruction, either for you individually or if you want to organize something with your lab, I'm happy to come up and do it as a team. Purchases, and we also do virtual reference that's staffed every day, including on the weekends, for more general questions. Please don't come in with a big neuroscience question because you might get the history librarian and they'll be like, that is lovely. Here's Andrea's email, go talk to her. So, but if you're having problems accessing stuff, weekend is fine. Bunch of workshops at McGill. I highly recommend, since you were just starting, that you use a citation management software, whether that is EndNote or Zotero. EndNote is more commonly used, I find, in health sciences, but really whatever toots your horn, also whatever your lab is using, I'd say go with that. We teach EndNote twice a month. I would recommend, if you've never used it before, taking a workshop. It's got a little bit of a learning curve. It's not bad. I would just recommend taking class. Zotero is like dead easy. There are videos online. I teach a systematic review class about once or twice a semester. I'll put something in the synopsis once I get that scheduled. My research is probably something that will be helpful for you. So it's basically a set of 3 workshops. We try and do them sort of February-ish on sort of getting you up for, grad school success. So research foundations is basic searching. We do our own EndNote and then getting your research out. So publishing, open access, which is particularly important if you get grants, especially the FRQ. There is some new stuff about that. So if you wind up getting FRQ grants, maybe drop me a note, because we should set some stuff up for you pretty early on that you have to take into consideration. All of these will go on your co-curricular record and are part of skill sets, actually. And there's also RDM stuff as well. There's more slides in here, which you guys will have access to, but we'll skip through those. What can the neuro do? Virtual instruction, PubMed, EndNote, similar stuff to what I do. Similarly, we'll help and consult on research design or search questions. I will say we generally don't do the searches for you. We all have our degrees. We all went to school. This is your time to shine. We are happy to work with you on developing the searches, but for the most part, you guys are responsible for your own searching. We will work with you on developing those, but generally don't come to us and be like, I want information on this. Here's my question. Thanks, I'll see you in 2 days. No, it's not how it goes. And links galore. So I know it's a lot, but fastest way and my email. This is courtesy of my colleague, Alex Amar, who would be very, very happy to know that you all laughed at this. And I will make sure I tell him because he's working at UDM right now, but he used to be the librarian here and we are a ridiculous double act. So this is his baby. Yeah. So any questions, comments, concerns, queries? Cool. All right. It's nice to meet you all. Look forward to working with you. All right. We're in the home stretch. So now it's GSAN. Let me just cue it up. There we go.
Become a pro at this now.
Right? Just look at me go. Okay, great. Go for it.
It's sharing that.
It's not. It should be though. They have quick screen too. Did I?
So much.
Oh, I forgot to actually click share. Whoops. Almost.
Right. And now fingers crossed. Hello, everyone. My name is Alexander Bailey, and I am your president for GSAN, which stands for the Graduate Student Association of Neuroscience. To begin with, wait a second. There we go. So you might ask yourself, what is indeed the Graduate Student Association of Neuroscience? Well, we are basically your student government, here to represent you and to be able to basically fulfill all of the needs that you require that aren't met by the amazing organizations that were previously mentioned. As you can see over here, this is a list of our current team, including one member that you will hear from very, very soon. Isabella is our VP Academic, Hio is our VP Comms and Outreach. We also have Simon, who is our VP Finance and basically takes care of anything regarding extraneous affairs. And we also have a brand new position for VP Wellness, which is led by Carolyn. And lastly, Andrea, who is our VP Social. So what we do is we basically take care of a whole bunch of different academic, social, sustainability, wellness, advocacy, and wellness activities. And we are the guys behind communicating all of these different initiatives to you, as well as funding and subsidizing these initiatives, as well as other groups, some of which you've actually heard of today, including Brain Info and Brain Reach, to be able to allow you to have different opportunities throughout graduate school. So some of these initiatives, for example, on the academic front, include the 3-minute thesis that we work with the skill sets to be able to bring that to you. But we also have our very own workshops. So for example, for any of you who want to get more of a sense of knowing how to work with MATLAB or with R or even with Python, this is stuff that we do every single semester to be able to ensure that all students are basically not only literate, but also proficient at being able to know how to code. We also take care of anything having to do with different types of language classes. So for those of you, for example, who are international students or those who just want to have a chance to be able to better your French skills, we have French courses that are going to be opening up this semester actually to be able to do just that at 3 different levels. So we have those who are just wanting to have introductory French, those that are more mid-tier, and those individuals who just want to perfect their French skills. In addition, for all those who are interested in their writing and being able to create different types of expressions about the graduate student experience, particularly in neuroscience, or want to be amongst others who are just writing enthusiasts or perhaps poets in the making, we have an organization that focuses just on that. Oh, thank you. Perfect. We also have several other different initiatives that are going to be happening in a little bit that you will be forwarded about. thanks to the different types of our communications teams, initiatives, both on social media and also throughout GSAN email. In addition to this, we have a whole bunch of different social initiatives that we've done starting since last year in more of a hybrid format, because certain individuals, especially with the global pandemic that hit us back in 2020, found that having this as a means to be able to interact with students both in person and online is the best way to go. To that end, we have every single year a startup barbecue that unfortunately has just passed last semester. So instead, what you guys will be able to have starting this month is a food tour that we will take for every single location in the city to be able to introduce you to the sights, smells, and different flavors that exist throughout the city of Montreal. In addition, we are also going to be having a winter carnival that I was kind of piloting last year. It was very, very successful to be able to introduce you to Montreal's famous Beaver Lake and to be able to go skating and tubing. And lastly, but not leastly, every single year we have a capstone event, which we call our formal gala, and really is just kind of our chance of being able to feel a little bit fancy and do something just as kind of a nice celebration for the year. I should also mention that every single one of these social activities are actually all for free or at a very, very minimal cost to be able to ensure that every single one of the members of the IPN is able to participate and enjoy to the max. But not only do we do that, we also have a bunch of other initiatives. So for example, we have an IPN Buddy program that you may have heard of, and if not, it will actually be starting very, very soon, wherein brand new students to the IPN are actually basically given a buddy. That is to say, an older IPN student with whom they can talk about just about anything and everything regarding what courses to take, where to get the best pizza in the city, how to be able to navigate the IPN and knowing where to be able to find different types of information, a lot of which has been discussed today. But in case you need to have a reminder or just a person to be able to help to guide you towards that, can serve as an extra resource to do just that. We've also initiated a brand new help desk. So that way, if you have more of a general question or even a very specific question about your circumstances, you can write directly to us, and we're usually very fast at responding. We also host different types of workshops and information sessions for all international students to be able to try to make them feel at home in Montreal, and also being able to kind of discuss topics that'll hit, for example, the winter blues, for a lot of whom have not ever experienced winters in Canada, let alone the city of Montreal. We also started a brand new branch this year, which is called our Wellness Branch. And this focuses on a whole bunch of different fronts, really specifically aimed though at different types of niches that you may not necessarily think are important at first glance, but serve to be very, very useful in the long run. So for example, for anyone who wants to have peer-to-peer support, someone just to be able to vent and talk to about different types of initiatives or different types of thoughts and feelings that they experience as a graduate student, we have this wellness branch for you to be able to do just that. We also have, for those cases that become a little bit more serious, from knowing how to be able to talk to your supervisor, seeking out different types of liaison and resources for advocating yourself. And even for those individuals, God forbid, who need to have legal information, we also have these individuals through our advocacy officers whose role is basically to do just that and to be almost like an ombudsperson for you, to be able to provide you with the resources that you'll need to be able to handle these tricky situations. For those who are more interested in being able to do things perhaps a little bit outside the box, so for example, developing new initiatives or seeing something that's happening in the IPN or perhaps within the student cohort that one is a part of, to be able to make it a little bit more special. We have a brand new program that we've recently developed that's called MAPS. This stands for Mentorship Amongst originally Psychology and Neuroscience students. It was originally created at Concordia University, but it's now become an integral part of GSAN. And what we use through that is basically our way of being able to do external outreach, not only to students, for example, who are undergrads, to be able to provide mentorship and effectively almost like a knowledge escalator from undergraduates interested in neuroscience to graduate students at all levels and even postdoctoral fellows to be able to help to provide us a series of informations from which we can have resources throughout your graduate studies, but also as a means to be able to talk about topics that are very important. For example, aspects dealing with emotional health and wellness, sexual health and wellness, looking at identity, talking about how you feel as an individual along your journey of graduate studies. This is what MAPS is there for. Lastly, for any of you who want to decompress after a very long week, we often have happy hours, which you can see right over here with our wonderful symbol, which are just times that we can gather at Thompson House, or for those who are attending the Douglas down near Verdun, to be able to just grab a beer and talk. Or for those who don't want to have a drink, but just want to grab some food and be around people in their cohort, that is what the happy hours are there for. Lastly, but not leastly, we've also initiated different forms of wellness activities. For anybody who's interested, for example, in going on hikes or doing dragon boating, these are different things that GSAN does and are very, very interested to have you participate in if that's stuff that you find cool to do. We're also trying to move to become more sustainable. A few years ago, there was a very actually cool initiative that was called the Green Labs Initiative that has been integral of really trying to transform McGill, but also especially the Neuro to be able to try to make it more eco-friendly. As of effectively this semester, Green Labs Initiative and GSAN have become part of the same initiative, really working towards trying to make us more sustainable, environmentally conscious, and also working to develop policies that we students can do throughout our laboratories to make more of a conscientious and environmentally sustainable impact. The more that we're able to do with little decisions, slowly but surely, they will have a greater impact. In addition to that, we also host a bunch of information that you can see right over here. So to be able to get in touch with us, I highly recommend that you sign on to go check us out on social media, or even just to be able to know what our email is. We also have merchandise that you may have received an email about just a little while ago. That is actually going to be starting this semester. So for any of you who would like to have very specific GSAN merch, this will be happening very, very soon. Another thing that we also do, which I would be absolutely remiss not to mention, is that we host different forms of activities. So in particular, we have a gigantic volleyball group that meets every single semester to be able to just have kind of like a very informal but open space to be able to get to know members of your cohort, and also just to be able to enjoy a game together. For all of you who might be interested in getting involved with GSAN, much like my colleagues at BrainRage, unfortunately, we oftentimes select all of the different members back in September. However, if you would still be interested to volunteer with us, we are very open to this. And all that we would require from you is for you to be able to send us an email. That is it for me for GSAN, but if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask either now, or please feel free to contact us either on social media or by email.
Any questions?
Sorry, what?
People want to hear about Neurolingo? Too late.
If you say so, Hugh.
I already get street credit from here.
What do you got?
Do you want to give him street cred?
If I were to install it.
It will be included in the.
Right, you'll make up for the last time. What?
You mentioned it and one.
It's great. I really think it's great. Although, arguably, you go to the website. You want to do a quick version? Can you do a quick version? Or
5 minutes or less, come on.
let's do it in a raw version. And then you guys have to check the YouTube website.
What? I don't even understand my own mouse.
And you'll see the actual box. That's the key.
I'm mispossessed.
All right, where are you here?
There we go. Okay, I'll just
Oh, wait, I still have to do the thing,
oh yes.
the magic thing.
It's already get away with it. Sorry, yo.
Sorry, yo. Okay, and this time I clicked share. So
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Young.
Hello, everyone. I'll try to go through this very quickly. Our goal is to make neuroscience research accessible to the public. And yeah, so we organize public conferences, we produce presentation videos, we train the speakers because we're not trained to speak to public. This is our team. We're mostly grad students within the IPN. We have a member from University of Montreal as well. And this was a picture taken from our in-person event 2 months in November. We had an audience of, public audience of a little bit over 110, I believe. And we had our graduate students who were trained over the course of 2 months to give a TED-style presentation about their own research. And this was sort of like the same view of the auditorium. We also produce presentation videos with in collaboration with a industry studio, and we post them on YouTube for open access. Here are our trainers. We have academic trainers as well as non-academic trainers. David and Ed, you're probably familiar with them. They're our faculty advisors as well as the academic speaker trainers. We also, because our stuff is for the public, we need to have somebody from the public who's not a scientist. And we have Michael Roshan, who's a science journalist, excellent science communicator. He's one of our coaches for our speakers. The trainings take about 2 months. The sessions are individualized. You start out with a 3-minute version. We expand it to 10-minute version. There's gonna be homeworks and feedbacks and stuff. It's very instructive. And then we do rehearsal session before we go on to that stage. Our upcoming event, we're planning to hold one in person in April at the same venue that I showed you the photo of. Oh, sorry. It's in French and I don't...
It's about that. It's the
Right, it's the
Yeah,
Quebec
so-
National Library.
which is located at Berry Camp Station. It's right now.
Beautiful, beautiful modern building.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, French-speaking speakers are welcome to, participate in the program. This is a bilingual program, although I am not. Oh, actually, I speak Korean, so I'm bilingual. Yeah. Anyways, the QR code for the sign-up application, if you're interested in becoming our speaker, you'll be trained over the course of 2 months. We'll organize like in-person training where you can show your body language. We're gonna have pizza and drinks, obviously. So yeah, there we have it. Connect with us, our website, email, like the slides will be shared with you. We acknowledge our sponsors. We're very grateful for their generous support of the IPN, as well as the Tannenbaum Open Science Institute at the Neuro. Thank you.
Sure, I can close up. So
Yeah.
that was great, Joe. Thank you for giving us.
All right, I'll just-
I do also recommend everybody check out the online the YouTube videos because
So in this
They're
case, I'm
really
just going
an
to share.
example.
Oh, we don't have to share screen because you're
Yeah,
just talking, right?
we're fine as is.
Oh, yeah,
You can
great.
Pop in.
Oh,
So, yeah, just to close, I just want to highlight the fact that you guys are starting graduate school. It's a big journey that you're beginning, but you should sort of take some pride in the fact that you're part of pretty much the largest graduate neuroscience program in North America, maybe in the world. It's a huge community of people doing amazing research. So take full advantage of it. Treat it there's a tendency to kind of focus on what you're doing in your lab, and that's important. But really get to know your colleagues. I can't emphasize that enough. It's such a great group of students and faculty. So, be proud of where you are and of the accomplishments of yourselves and your colleagues. And I just, I want to wish you all the best for the upcoming year. Remember that you can always contact the IPN office, all of the resources that you've heard about. Good luck with everything that you've done, guys. And thanks to all our speakers today and to Adriana for organizing the event. Have a good weekend.
and we are gonna now, can you end the meeting?
Sure.